All right, good morning, guys. It is Monday morning. Today we're going to be talking about the nervous system. So I'll wait for a few people to check on in. Say hello for this morning. We got one person in here so far. Just give it a wait here if you want to say hello. Good morning. So we're here Monday morning talking about the nervous system. So um, that's our topic for today. So wait for a few more people to come on in if you want to say hello, how your day's going or start of the week's going. Got another person. So hello. Hi, Veryl. How you doing? How was your weekend, Veryl? Everything good? Good to see you in here, Veryl. We're going to talk about the nervous system today. That's our topic for this week. Okay, good. I'm glad your week was well. I'll wait about another minute or two, and then we'll get started for today. If you had a chance to watch the video, make sure you watch the video. I just put it out on Microsoft Teams. It's a video with Mr. Candelo and I talking about the nervous system, a YouTube video. So hopefully you had a chance to see that. Okay, nice. That was a nice weekend for a girl. So hopefully had a nice weekend to grow out. Sounds like fun. Okay, well we're gonna get started here. Maybe one more minute here. Got three people in here so far. Vera, if anybody else wants to say hello, talking about the nervous system for this upcoming week, working through our body systems. Okay, last week was skeletal. Week before that was circulatory. Week before that, I believe, was respiratory. Okay, and the week before that was digestive, so we kind of covered a few. Hi, Talon. Thanks for checking in. All right, got Talon in here. Got Viral. All right, excellent. This week we're talking about the nervous system. Hopefully, you had a chance to watch the video. Go on Microsoft Teams page and take a look at that. Okay. All right. So we're going to get started here. If you have any questions throughout, you could ask me as I continue talking about the nervous system here. So the nervous system. So I'm going to get started. The nervous system is a very important system for helping to maintain what they call homeostasis or balance of the human body. All right, and it's a series of sensory receptors that work with the nervous system to provide information about changes in both the internal and external environments. Okay, internal and external environments. So that's like things on the outside world and within our bodies. All right. The human nervous system is complex of interconnected systems in which larger systems are comprised of smaller subsystems, each with having specific structures of a specific function. So this is basically talking about our brain is what we're going to kind of go into in our nerves. These are things that are going to send messages throughout our bodies here. Okay. All right. So the nervous system helps with what they call balance, coordination, movement. Okay. All right. Now, some of the structures and functions of the nervous system are what they call neurons. Neurons are nerve cells, and they can be found everywhere throughout our body, from our fingertips to our toes, up our arms, legs. Right? And neurons or nerve cells are the basic element of the nervous system. And they have a couple different types of structures to them. They do have a nucleus body, which is kind of the whole cell itself. They have what they call dendrites and axons and fibers as well. So we'll kind of talk about each of those and what those actually are. Okay, I got a few other people in here. We got Kyle. We got Soraya. Thanks for checking in, guys. Hopefully, a nice weekend. We're talking about the nervous system. Hopefully, you had a chance to watch the video with Mr. Canilow and I. We did a segment last week on the nervous system. That's our topic for this week. And make sure you've turned in your skeletal system project and the brain pop. Okay, so I'll talk about what to do after I'm done kind of talking about the nervous system on your assignments for this week. So very similar to what we have been doing. Okay, all right, kind of this here. Okay. Um, Going back to neurons, meaning nerve cells. Okay, neurons are known as nerve cells. Like I said, they have a cell body. So that's the cell body is the main processing center of the cell. Remember, if it's like where the nucleus is, like we studied nucleus in cells, it's the control center. Okay. Now there's these other branches they call that from the nerve cell called dendrites. Dendrites are thin branches extending of the cell body that conduct nerve impulses towards the cell body. So they send messages towards the cell body, and they're kind of like little branches. They have like kind of like a tree branch in a way. All right, so that's what they're called, dendrites. So there's those names. All right. And another part of the neuron or the nerve cell is what they call an axon. And it's actually a single branch. All right. And it is most in most numbers in neurons. Okay. So it's actually a single branch and it conducts nerve impulses away from the cell body. So it sends messages away. And it has like what they call a myelin sheath, okay, which is a protective covering around it. Okay, so it does have something to protect it. Okay. All right, any questions so far? All right, we got Sam in here too. Hi, Sam. Hi, Soraya. Hi, Kyle. Hi, Talon, Veril. Thanks for all checking in this morning. All right, excellent. Talking about the nerve cells. We're talking about the nervous system. Now, neurons also have impulse transmissions. So they also have a terminal end fibers. Okay, this is the very end of the nerve cell. All right, and they're located at the ends of the axon and they transmit impulses, leaving neurons across a synapse to the next neuron. So they have to send like a message. That's a synapse that goes to the next neuron, the next nerve cell. Okay. All right. Next, I'm going to talk about some basic properties of neurons. So all neurons have two basic properties. Okay. And that is what they call excitability and conductivity. And they conduct those messages from A to B. There's usually a neurotransmitter from neuron A. There's a neuron transmitter, and then what they call a synapse, and it sends that message to the next. Okay? All right, so we're talking about nervous system. Okay, we got Kane in here too. Thanks for checking in. All right, so there's three types of neurons. All right, the first type of neuron is what they call efferent neuron. Another name for efferent neuron or motor neurons. Okay, and they convey information from the central nervous system to glands. All right, so the central nervous system is your brain, your spinal cord. Okay, those are sending most of the messages throughout our body there. More so the brain. So what they call that CNS, abbreviated central nervous system. So they convey information from the central nervous system to muscles and glands. That's the motor neurons. Then there's one called efferent. The other one was efferent and one is afferent. Okay, afferent neurons are sensory neurons, so that you could just say motor or sensory. So they carry messages or information from sensory receptors to the central nervous system. Okay, and we have something called interneurons. Okay, and interneurons carry and process sensory information. Okay, so those are some types of neurons. So you got motor, sensory, and interneurons. Okay, with the three types of neurons there. Okay, all right. Looks like we have Gavin in here too. Thanks for checking in. Okay, please keep the chats amongst with me, not other students, just to let you guys know. Okay. All right, so like I said, I can see what's being typed in here. All right, moving on to the types of neurons here. The first type, like I was talking about, is the motor neuron. Okay, so that's the cell body, the axon, and the dendrites for that. And the second type is called the sensory neurons. Okay, and the third type is called the interneurons. So they all look a little bit different, but they have a lot of similar properties of sending those messages. Okay. All right. Um, I'm going to skip over that one here. Now, the central nervous system allows bodily activities for voluntary and involuntary activities which are controlled by the nervous system. Okay, so there's two major components for the central nervous system, and I was just kind of talking about it. The central nervous system is made up of the brain and spinal cord. All right, that's one of the major parts to it. Okay, your central nervous system, brain, spinal cord. The other major part is called what they call the peripheral nervous system. These are all the nerves that lead to it. So it's made up of you and out of the central nervous system. So the messages that go down your arm, down your legs, okay, those are going to be more your peripheral nervous system. So that's going to be areas that go outside that realm, okay, from the central nervous system. Central nervous system is specifically brain and spinal cord. Everything else, what they call peripheral nervous system, and it sends those messages other places. Okay. All right. Nope. Did I freeze? Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. It says looks like I'm still alive. I don't know what's going on your end, but okay. It says it keeps freezing. So did I freeze up on you, or am I unfrozen? Okay, I'm frozen now. Okay, good. All right, good to see. Good to hear that. Okay, because I can see myself talking and hearing it, but I don't know on your end. Looked like there was someone typing about I froze, so I don't know. No. Okay, so continuing on with the central nervous system here, okay, and peripheral nervous system. Now, the central nervous system, like I was saying, is composed of two major interconnected organs, your brain and your spinal cord. Those are the two most important parts of the central nervous system. So these organs work together to integrate and coordinate sensory and motor information for the purpose of controlling the various tissues, organs, and organ systems of the body. So the central nervous system is responsible for higher neurofunctions such as memory, learning, and emotion. Okay, these would be some things that would fall into that category there. Okay, all right, excellent. Continuing on. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the brain. All right, the brain weighs about 3 pounds in adults, and it's 75% water, 20% of it's oxygen, and it contains over neurons, nerve cells within the brain. So it controls bodily functions and interactions with the outside world. So there is four main parts that I'm going to go over with the brain. The cerebrum is one part. Another one called is the diencephalons, okay, the brain stem, and what they call the cerebellum. Okay, the diencephalons are a name that's kind of a scientific term there too. So we'll kind of talk about that one as well. So the brain stem, we're going to kind of go with the bottom one going all the way up, is made up of the midbrain. Okay, and it has pons and medulla oblongata, and I'll talk about that what that is. So the midbrain is involved with visual reflexes, which you can actually see. All right, pons are located in the midbrain and the medulla oblongata, and these control certain respiratory functions. So the pons help for respiratory functions. These are just the parts of the brainstem. And then they have one called the medulla oblongata. This is all part of the brainstem. It contains it contains centers that regulate heat, lung functioning, swallowing, coughing, vomiting, and sneezing. Okay, so that would be some things that would be on the brainstem there. Okay. All right. Any other questions so far? I'm not frozen. I don't. Hopefully not there. Okay. All right. Continuing on. So, all right. The cerebrum is an area that coordinates muscular skeletal movement to maintain posture, balance, muscle tone. All right, and it is inferior to the occipital lobes of the cerebrum. So this is I'm sorry. This is the cerebellum. The cerebellum is an area that controls movement of posture, balance, and muscle tone. All right, and it's opposite of the cerebrum, and it's posterior to the pons and the medulla oblongata, so it sits above the brainstem. All right, and it controls some of those things: balance, posture, muscle tone, is the cerebellum. Okay, now the cerebrum, which is a larger part, okay, is located above the cerebellum, and it contains two hemispheres. An outer portion called the cerebral cortex, you might have heard of that before, and the two hemispheres are connected by a bridge of nerve fibers that relay information between the two hemispheres called the corpus calcium. Okay, and the left and right lobes are divided into four lobes or parts of the parental lobe. So there's a frontal, temporal, and occipital lobes. Okay, all right. So these are that area there. Okay, any questions so far? Am I still frozen? Maybe not. Maybe so. Okay. All right, now the diencephalons, this is the deep portion of the brain that contains the thalamus, the hypothalamus, the epithalamus. These are some areas of the deeper portions of the brain. So the cerebrum, diencephalon, and then you had the brainstem and cerebellum. These are the four main portions of the brain. Okay. Now, the diencephalon serves and relays centers for sensation, such as heart rate, blood pressure, temperature control, behavior response, digestive functions, water and electrolyte balance would be included in there. Okay? All right. Now I'm going to talk about the spinal cord because that kind of goes together with the brain. Now, the spinal cord extends from the medulla oblongata from the brain to the area around the first lumbar vertebra in the lower back. So, nerves from the peripheral nervous system extend out from the spinal cord, and it's protected by a vertebral column, spinal fluid, and they have some areas called meninges here, and these is areas that are the three layers of the membranes that cover the brain and spinal cord. Okay, all right. So that's the spinal cord itself there. Okay, next I'm going to talk about is the peripheral nervous system. Okay, and the peripheral nervous system is the next portion that I'm going to talk about here. Okay, um, they call this the PNS, meaning peripheral nervous system, is a collection of peripheral nerves or ganglia. Okay, and they're specialized sensory structures that, as a system, carry sensory and motor information between central nervous system and all other organs and tissues of the body. So the peripheral nervous system is functionally divided into two areas called the sensory division or the motor division, known as the afferent or efferent division there too, which we talked about. So your spinal cord, this is below the spinal cord, and these are the ones I was telling you, like your nerves that go through your arms and your legs that are all interconnected to your spinal cord and brain, because your spinal cord and brain is your central nervous system. That's the main part where it's going for movement and control. Okay. Now, the peripheral nervous system consists of 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. So these would be some of the nerves that go throughout. So they call these the cranial nerves olfactory. That's for your sense of smell. Optic is your sense of vision, because remember your five senses are also included into the nervous system. Ocular motion, our motor, is your eye movement, like moving back and forth. Um, Trochlear is your aids and muscles that move around, moves the eye. Okay. Um, they have your facial cranial nerves. This is for taste, facial expression, tears, salivary glands. So those would be some things that would be considered as some of these nerves that are connected to the peripheral system there. Okay. What they call vestibular, or these are going to be your hearing and equilibrium, where you get balance and hearing. For taste, is your glossopharyngeal. That's the scientific name for it. It's going to be your pharynx, your tongue. That's going to be included in there. The vagus, which is your speech. These are your cranial nerves. These some of these scientific names I'm saying to you. All right, it's for speech and swallowing. Heart muscle will be included in there. All right, so that would be one of those. Okay, some of those. All right, and The last part I'm going to talk about here, okay? All right, Vero, what's your question? Aren't they basically lines? I don't know what you mean by that, Vero. Do you want to elaborate on that? Not too sure what you mean by that. Okay, last thing I'm going to talk about are what they call somatic and autonomic nervous systems. So, somatic nervous system, this is going to be responsible for receiving and processing sensory input from your skin, muscles, tendons, joints, eyes, tongue, nose, and ears, as well as excitant to voluntary contraction of skeletal muscles. All right. Now, the autonomic nervous system, this is going to carry impulses from from the nervous system to glands, various smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, and various membranes. So this stimulates organs, glands, and senses for that. Okay? All right. Excellent. All right. Looks like we got somebody else in here. I believe that's Alex Tulix. You had to make a new account. All right. So your account got deleted. I don't know. I still see you checking in. I saw you check in for your attendance today. So I'm assuming you're still on the account. So hopefully you got that straightened away there, Alex. But thanks for checking in. All right. Any questions about the nervous system before I kind of go into some of the things, assignments for this week? This is just some of the basics that I talked about. The central nervous system, your brain, your spinal cords, your peripheral nerves that kind of go throughout your body that are going to be arms and legs and to extend to other areas. And your reflexes, I talked about nerve cells, what they call neurons, axon, dendrites, cell body. Those are some parts of a nerve cell that I went over with you guys there. Okay. You do have a brain pop this week. I did put it on Microsoft Teams, or I did put it on Brain Pop for to log in through Clever to do. I didn't put the assignment up. And then if you watch the video, hopefully you watched the video with Mr. Canaloo and I. He was checking my reflexes. I don't know if you had a chance to see that. He had a hammer actually in the video. So no, he did not hit me with the hammer, but use it as a reflex tool, like when you go to the doctors and they hit your kneecap and you get a reaction from that. So we're talking about nerves and how that's related to our bodies, okay, and our body systems and how they function. So we have thousands, not millions, of nerves in our body, okay. And then your project this week is going to be identifying a nervous system disease, something such as like maybe Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. I'll provide a list of those on Microsoft Teams. I'm going to go over those with you come on Wednesday, some specific ones, but you could research some of them on your own. So um, nervous system diseases is what you're going to do, and you're going to research that. You don't have to draw or label the nerves like you've been doing with the skeletal system or the circulatory system. The nerve system's a little bit, there's not a lot to it for the labeling part and stuff like that, so you don't have to do that. I'm looking for more research end of the nervous system. As long as you just understand the basics on the central nervous system, brain, spinal cord, knowing what a neuron is, understanding how they send messages and interact throughout the body. Touching something hot, you put your hand on the stove, that's going to send a signal up your arm to your brain to know that that's hot, to remove or pull your hand back fast from a hot object, okay, or a cold object. They can send those messages, something that's cold, something that's hot. We get these messages from the outside world's response stimulus, what we talked about when we were studying observations and inferences earlier on this year. Okay, so those are some things that could be included with that. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns on that? Okay, so project will be due Friday, brain pop will be due Friday. This is how I've been doing this throughout the weeks here. Having introduced a new topic, and then have a project and or assessment with like brain pop at the end of the week. Okay. All right. So hopefully you'll have plenty of time this week to do and start these assignments. So any questions about the nervous system and or the project, brain pop, or skeletal system, or circulatory system? If you did not turn in your other assignments, I'm still collecting some at the moment, so make sure you get these turned in, okay? Okay. Well, I'm going to wrap up a little bit early today because I do have a meeting, I believe. So I will be back on at 1 o'clock today, too, so, and 5 o'clock today, since I have a couple other sessions. So I'll be on here a couple more minutes here, but if you don't have any more questions, like I said, you can type your answer in, your questions on the live chat bar to communicate with me. I see what you guys could write on here. So, yeah. So hopefully you check in. Okay. All right, Beryl. Good seeing you. I'm sure I'll see you later. You might pop back in, I'm assuming. Okay. See you, Talon. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Like I said, I'll be back on this afternoon at 1 o'clock on the nervous system. To go over that. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to check out a little here early just because I have a meeting, but I'll be back on this afternoon, 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, just kind of covering similar stuff on the nervous system and or your project, which will be a nervous system illness or disease like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, to research that topic and provide information on that. So since we're just talking about how the nervous system sends messages throughout our body and sends signals when you get these reflexes, and it helps control and coordinate our body. Okay? All right. Excellent job. And like I said, I will be back on this afternoon at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. Check the Teams page. Watch the video with Mr. Candelo and I, and or do Brain Pop, which will be due Friday, along with the project. So hopefully you guys are having a good start to this week. All right. All right, guys. I'm going to sign on off for right now. So have a good rest of your day. All right. Bye.